Welcome to Legal Studies, and today we're going to be learning about the principles of justice. So where are we in the course? Well, the principles of justice is our first dot point. And the reason why it's first is that these three principles, fairness, equality, and access, they're like a lens that we're going to use to look at the rest of the course. Every other thing that we learn about in the course, we're going to look at it and think, does this thing I've learned help achieve fairness? Or maybe it increases equality. Or maybe the thing that we learn about is something that's going to help people access and use our legal system. But all of the things we learn after this, we're going to try and look back and apply the principles of justice to. And so that's why we learn it first, because the principles sort of overlay and relate to all of the things we're going to learn after this. So what's our first principle? Well, the first one is fairness. Fairness involves impartial treatment for all people under the law. Now, when we talk about fairness, we might use synonyms like treating people with impartiality, making sure that no one is treated with bias, making sure that no one receives discrimination by our legal system, treating them with neutrality, or making sure that no one has too great of a disadvantage when they're using our legal system. Or on the other side of the coin, they don't have too great of an advantage, because that would be a bad thing as well. An example of fairness in our legal system is the jury system, and the fact that jury members are not supposed to have any prior knowledge of the case that they are involved with. So, for example, you'd be really, really worried if one of the members of the jury was really close friends with the accused person. That would worry you. You'd be worried that they would maybe be biased in favour of the accused person. And so to achieve fairness, we require that they have no prior knowledge of the accused. Our next principle of justice is equality. Equality, according to the study design, involves provision of equal legal opportunities and treatment. And that's a little bit of a circular definition, so some synonyms we might use to clarify this would be things like giving everyone the same treatment. Or on the other side of the coin, if we're failing to achieve equality, we might be giving people different treatment. Some people being treated one way, some people being treated the other. Or we might look at same and different opportunities given to people. An example of this in our legal system, again involving the jury, is that everyone who's charged with an indictable offence is given the right to a trial by jury. So everyone is treated the same way. They've all got the same right. And finally, we've got our third principle of justice, which is access. Access involves how hard or easy it is to use the legal system. And there's a number of factors that can relate to providing barriers to access or helping make access easier. For example, money. The more money you have, the more likely you are to be able to hire a good lawyer, and they'll be able to represent you. Whereas if you don't have a lot of money, you might not be able to hire a lawyer, and that might make you using the legal system a lot harder for you. Same with education. The more you know about the legal system, the more confident you'll feel using it. The less you know, the more scared you'll be, the less likely you are to want to use our legal system. Location, if you live really far away from the closest physical courtroom and it takes you hours to travel there by car, you may not want to get involved in a case. And same thing with time. The fact that, we know that legal cases can take a lot of time, that can really stress people out, and that might make them not want to use our legal system. All these things are factors that make the legal system sort of harder or easier to use, and that's access. And finally, probably the hardest part of this dot point is figuring out what the difference is between fairness and equality, because often they can look really, really similar. So here I've given you an example of the difference between them. You might have seen this image online before. On the left-hand side, we've got an example of equality. Here in this picture, everyone's got one box. They're all standing on one box. They're all being treated the same way. Everyone's got the same treatment. That's equality. One box for everyone. All right. Our legal example of this might be, well, everyone has the right to a lawyer. We'll treat you all the same way. You've all got the same right. Fairness, on the other hand, is more about making sure that no one is disadvantaged. So here we can see on the left-hand side, everyone being treated equally leaves this poor little kid unable to see the field. If we were to apply the legal analogy to this, This poor little kid, he might have the right to a lawyer, but he's too poor to afford one. Well, fairness is about making sure that that disadvantage is removed. So here, we would treat people differently. All right, we'd give this kid more boxes, or in the legal system, we'd give this kid a free lawyer. All right, so that they ended up not disadvantaged. All right. So equality is treating everyone the same. Sometimes that can actually be a bad thing. Fairness is about making sure no one is disadvantaged, making sure that no one has any bias against them. So often our legal system is actually looking more for fairness than it is for equality. And that's it for the principles of justice. I'll see you next time.